All right, so today we're going to make mashed potatoes Gustavo style with the gravy, famous gravy from Mary McDougall, and we will also make the Costa Rican potatoes and beans that is also in the book, The Healthiest Diet on the Planet, and and then we will enjoy the food. So let's start with the mashed potatoes. That way, while they're cooking, we can move on to the Costa Rican potatoes and beans and then finish with the gravy. So what did I do? I just got 3 potatoes. Of course, this varies depending on how many potatoes you want to make for mushrooms, for mashed potatoes. So I just got 3 medium to medium large potatoes. I did peel them and I cut them in chunks just so that they would cook a little faster. And now comes the secret ingredient. You want to have some winter squash, that really bright orange. And I cubed about a cup. What that does, it's just another variation of the mashed potatoes. To me, it makes them creamy, and then it adds that sweetness to the potatoes, and sometimes you can add a little bit of nutmeg, and if you use salt and pepper, you can add that. And of course, it's also a nice memory. It reminds me of my dear grandmother that used to make the mashed potatoes like this, sometimes, not all the time. So let's do that right now. And what I'm going to do is bring you with me, and I will close the camera. That way you don't get, dizzy with all the movement. And I am going to put 1 cup of water. I don't like to put a lot of water. I'm using the Instant Pot. You don't have to use a pressure cooker. I just use this because it's faster, but you can boil them the regular way, okay? And then I have here my 3 potatoes, and I have the squash, about a cup. So there it is. Again, you don't have to use an Instant Pot or a pressure cooker. You can cook it the traditional way, boiling it on the stove. And we're going to put the lid on this. And because it's cut into smaller chunks, I'm not gonna need a lot of time. Sometimes I put it to 11, 12 minutes. I think that this is going to be okay with about 8 minutes. I don't mind if it's cooked a little longer. And we're going to let that cook. So now we're going to move on. There it is. It says it's okay. I'm going. So we're going to move on to the Costa Rican potatoes and beans. And I'm closing this again so that you don't see all the movement that I have to make to get to the other part of the kitchen. And while I do that, I tell you that last year I went to Costa Rica. I loved my visit to that wonderful country. I was in a very small town by the beach, and so I didn't see the big city. I'm not fond of big cities anymore, so I didn't mind. I did not mind not seeing the bigger cities, but I enjoyed the country that I saw, and I enjoyed the food. And these Costa Rican potatoes and beans were something that were common for breakfast or lunch. And here I have the ingredients. Here I have the book, and we are on page 203, the Costa Rican potatoes and beans. Okay, so what are we going to do first? We will put about half a cup of vegetable broth in a large non-stick frying pan. And so here is my half cup, about that much. I will put it on the frying pan. This is a scan pan that I use, and I'm going to put there the onion, which is one medium, kind of a little larger than medium onion. And it also says to add the garlic, which is half a teaspoon, but when it comes to garlic, I usually put more than what a recipe says. So, and we also need to add the jalapeno, which asks for one jalapeno, but I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to spicy food. So I'm going to use, I think that was about half of a jalapeno, I think. So this needs to cook. So here we have the one onion, about half of a jalapeno, but if you want to put the whole one, do it. It says seeded, so I took the seeds out. I chopped it. Be very careful when you chop it, don't touch your face because you're going to be in excruciating pain. And then the garlic, which I think I put probably a whole teaspoon, if not a teaspoon and a half. Now, this needs to cook until it's very soft, adding more vegetable broth as needed. And so that's what we're going to do now. We're just going to wait a few minutes here and let this get soft. Now for the gravy, we will need some brown rice flour, and I'm going to close the camera. So that I can talk to you. You know, forgive me for this. It's just that this is a live cooking show, so it's not as polished as when it is edited and all that. Okay, so it says here to cook over medium heat, stirring frequently until vegetables are very soft, adding the rest of the vegetable broth if necessary. If you're cooking with me, then, you know, we will be making this together. So I think that you can see me here. While this is cooking here, I would just want to remind you that next week we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cook a couple of recipes. And this month of September, I will release the second episode of The Chef and the Pianist, and it's going to be a very unusual one because you're going to meet some family members, you're going to travel with me, and then you're going to cook together. Then I'm going to have two very special guest performers that will perform with me. It's going to be a real feast, and kind of a remembrance of my dear grandmother who was from Spain and who shaped my person and my childhood. So I think we're going to have fun. So let's look at the pan, and now I think that we do need some more liquid. So we will add more. That is vegetable broth. You know, sometimes I don't have vegetable broth, so I use water. Don't freak out if you don't have vegetable broth handy. and it's okay. So it's getting softer, it's getting soft. While we wait for this, I will also remind you that Dr. Diego Ponyman and I have a website. It's called plantemus.com. Plant, P-L-A-T, then E-M-U-S. And it is a website that was started in Spanish because we want to start bringing the plant-based way of eating to the Hispanic community. But because it's been so popular, we decided to start an English side to the site. So when you go to the website, there's going to be a button that says English content, and you can click on that and you can see some videos of me cooking, then the 3 cooking webinars that I've done. You know that I do just about everything for free, and I love to do that and to help you all guys. It's just that once a month I do a paid webinar because these webinars take a lot of time and effort and expenses, and so that's why I charge, and it is totally optional. You don't have to buy them. You can just keep watching my free content, but it does help me to keep bringing you really good quality content. All right, so this is getting much softer now, and what it says here is that at this point we need to add the tomatoes, the cilantro, and the black pepper. So how much? Well, if you have the book in front of you, of course you're going to see that. So it's 2.5 cups of fresh tomatoes. So these are fresh tomatoes that I got from an organic market here in this village, mountain village, where I am at the present moment. Due to the traveling restrictions, I am not able to be in Dallas, so at the moment I'm in Cordoba, Argentina, and in this little mountain town, it's beautiful, and I get all sorts of fresh, delicious vegetables, and so that is the tomatoes. Then we need to add, let's see here, the tomatoes, the cilantro. It's just 1/4 cup of chopped cilantro, and guess what? This cilantro comes from my little vegetable garden that I have, and so it's amazing how even cilantro, it just smells so strong, so good when it's fresh and cut right out of the garden. So that's 1/4 cup of cilantro. And the other thing that we're supposed to add is the black pepper. Black pepper, I'm going to leave it out just because we're going to be adding the jalapeno, and I think that's going to be enough heat. Although, since this recipe comes from Dr. McDougall's book, and he loves spicy food, I'm sure it would be just fine for him, but I'm not very adventurous when it comes to food that is very hot. So this, it says, needs to cook for about 15 minutes. So I'm going to close the camera and hold on just a minute. Let's see if you can see that right there. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so let's see. This is going to cook. I can hear the Instant Pot gathering, the pressure. So once it gathers pressure, that's when it starts to count the 8 minutes from the time that the pressure is high, not from the time that you turn it on. So please, if you like these videos and the book club and all this, take a second to subscribe to this YouTube channel. You just click subscribe, then you click on the little bell so that you can get a notice when I upload a new video. And it does everything helps to grow the channel and to make it easier for me to continue making all of this content that I make for you. So if you don't mind doing that, I would really appreciate it. Okay, so the Instant Pot is now ready to start counting down, and I'm going to add a little more of the liquid of the vegetable broth. And I'm glad we're doing this in real time, because you can see how long a recipe like this takes, and you know, it's not all edited like a real cooking show. All right, so it's looking very, very good. The tomatoes are getting soft. All those flavors are getting combined and mixed. It's kind of like salsa in a way, like Mexican salsa. And since I only have a little bit left, I'm just gonna go ahead and add it. That was 1 cup of vegetable broth or water. Like I said, you don't have to use vegetable broth. And okay. So last month I did the first episode of The Chef and the Pianist, and that was the gnocchi. And I guess you may know that I really, let me see if I'm doing this right here. Yeah, I really enjoy gnocchi, which is a potato-based pasta. They're I guess it's the best pasta to eat in the starch-based way of eating, because you can actually make 100% potato dumplings, which are this gnocchi, with no flour. And I show you how to do it. I also show you that the secret is in the sauce, and I show you a wonderful tomato sauce. But I also show you the traditional way, which takes a little flour, not much, and it just changes a little bit the texture of the gnocchi, and that's the traditional way, which also has an egg, but of course we don't use the egg. I show you how to use the least amount of flour as well, and the fun kind of tradition that exists in Argentina and in other countries, which is that people eat gnocchis on the 29th of each month for abundance. And there's a story behind that I share with you. And so every 29th of the month, I'm going to do a gnocchi party, which is free, and you can join me for lunch, and I show you how I cook them, and I invite some friends, and you get to meet some of my friends. It's just fun. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go back to this, and now it smells absolutely divine. So what is next? Well, next we're going to put the spinach, which is, let's look at the recipe here. 3, I believe it was 3, but let's look. 4 cups of chopped spinach. 4 cups of chopped spinach. We're going to put some boiling water in the spinach and set it aside. So I already have the boiling water, and hold on so that we can do this. And put the spinach there, the 3 cups, and put some boiling water, just to kind of soften it a little. spinach cooks so fast and so easily that with this much boiling water is starting the cooking process, and then we're supposed to drain it. All right, I'm going to close the camera again and give me 1 second here to get this ready. All right, so let's drain the spinach here with the water, and I'll put it back in the bowl just to get a little bit soft. That's all we need. Very good. And then next, set it aside, and then we need to add the potatoes and the beans to the tomato mixture and mix well and cook well. So let me get the potatoes, and here they are. These are cooked potatoes that I steamed. I cut them in cubes, and that was, let's see, 3 cups of cooked potatoes. So we're going to the mixture here, and we add the potatoes, and we add 1 can of beans, black beans, which is 1.5 cups. Those beans are beans that I cooked last night. I didn't use can, and I'm going to move this back to the heat because I had moved it, and mix it really well. Hold on just a minute so I can position the camera better. All right, so I think you can see that, and it's supposed to cook for about 3 minutes. It really, there's nothing to cook because the potatoes are cooked, the beans are cooked, so, but I think they just need to blend. And if you notice that it's getting dry, then it is time to lower the heat. And if you need to add a tiny bit of water, you do. But this is looking absolutely divine. Okay. Now, I'm gonna keep that for about 3 minutes while we go and, oh, the potatoes are cooked. So we're gonna make the mashed potatoes. There you go. I'm going to take you there. Well, here we go. Let the steam come out, and while that is happening, we are going to get the spinach and add it to the potatoes here, to the mixture. I love that green, that bright green color. Wow, that's, to me, that green color is the color of health. It's the color of healthy, clean, clear arteries. It's the color that says that our endothelium is healthy, and it won't rupture, and it won't, be prompt to having a heart attack, I mean, it will be more difficult. You know, you can never say never, but if you eat your 5 to 6 servings of greens, like Dr. Esselstyn says, you really are protecting that thin layer in the arteries called the endothelium that we so desperately need, because every single artery in our body is lined with those cells that are very delicate, and so they need all the nutrients that the greens have to keep them healthy. Okay, so this is in a low or medium heat, and I'm going to let it cook there. And well, cook, I'll let it simmer a little bit. And let's go to the potatoes and see how they came out. There we go. Let's open it. Hold on just a minute. So what do I usually do? Well, I usually get the water out of the pot here because I want very creamy mashed potatoes. I don't want watery. So I would rather start with very dry mixture and then add some of this water if needed. And that's why I took the water out. So now we will get a potato masher here and mash them. And I'll tell you that the water that these potatoes have absorbed and the water that the squash has, it really is more than enough. You are not going to believe how creamy this already is. Now, for some reason, which I don't know and I really haven't had time to research, if you add a tiny bit of turmeric to this, it's not going to change the taste. But for some reason, turmeric makes potatoes even a little more creamier. So, I don't know, 1/8 of a teaspoon or something, very, very little. But it's optional. So look at the creaminess of these mashed potatoes. Look at the consistency. Fluffy, creamy, ready to be enjoyed. So, let's finish the beans and hold on just a minute. Hold on, I'm moving my camera here again to the potatoes. And what we're going to do is add some seasonings. Now, this is up to you now. You can put a combination of smoked paprika and some onion powder and garlic powder, maybe some oregano, or maybe some cumin. You could just now choose. You could put some sriracha sauce or some kind of hot sauce. And what I'm gonna do is, I'm so lucky that I still have some of this seasoning that I bought in Costa Rica when I visited there last year, and I still have some left. And it's actually what I just told you. It has some smoked paprika and garlic powder and onion powder. I'm not sure. I think that's about all it has, actually. So, look at that. Now, if you do eat some salt, you can add now the salt. I was gonna say salt and pepper, but that's gonna depend on your tolerance of heat, because I believe that the jalapeno that I put in there is already hot, at least for me. But if I find that it needs a little kick here, a little bit of heat, I will add some kind of hot sauce to this, any kind that you like. And if not, I leave it. I do tend to add a little, just a little bit of salt, even though I don't use a lot of salt. But sometimes I find it difficult to eat potatoes without the salt. But actually, I'm not going to add any, because I think that maybe with all this seasoning, I may not need it. So, there it is. I'm going to let it sit here a little bit longer. I think that this tastes even better the next day, if it lasts for the next day. But today we're going to try it. So I'm going to move this over, and I'm going to bring my small pan here to cook, to make the gravy, the famous Mary McDougall gravy. It's called the creamy golden gravy. So, what does this have? Well, this takes 2 cups of vegetable broth, 3 tablespoons of low sodium soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of tahini, 1/4 cup of brown rice flour, and then freshly ground black pepper and optional hot sauce, or such as sriracha sauce or any other kind of sauce. So hold on as I bring the ingredients for the gravy here. Hold on just a second. So I have the 2 cups of vegetable broth here. And now we need to add to the 2 cups of vegetable broth, we need to add the 3 tablespoons of actually we're going to go ahead and put the 2 tablespoons of tahini. And here's my tahini, 1 tablespoon and 2 tablespoons. And we will add to this the 3 tablespoons of the low sodium soy sauce here. So let's put it here. 3 tablespoons, 1, 2, and of course the brown of the soy sauce and the brown of the tahini makes this a brown. And excuse my fingers here, they're clean, I've washed my hands, and it makes the sauce brown and of course very creamy. So that will, it says place the broth in a saucepan, add the soy sauce and tahini, stir in the brown rice flour and whisk until the liquid becomes smooth. And we need to bring it to a boil. So hold on. So here is the 1/4 cup of brown rice flour, and now we're going to whisk it until it gets creamy. And then we're going to bring it to a boil. Now, I know this for a fact, that this is Dr. McDougall's favorite meal, the mashed potatoes with this creamy brown gravy and a side of corn. You know, that is the meal. And I can't say that it's not mine either, because I just love mashed potatoes. And even though I don't make this gravy very often, I love it. So it just makes those mashed potatoes so good. So we're going to let it come to a boil, like it says here, stirring occasionally until the sauce becomes thickened, and then season with freshly ground black pepper to taste. And you can add a dash or two of hot sauce for more flavor if desired. And it says serve at once. So this gravy may be made ahead, like she says here, and refrigerator, and then it will thicken slightly when refrigerated. And to reheat it, you place the gravy in a saucepan and add a small amount of water and whisk to combine, and then it will slowly, come to, it will become creamy again. So it is becoming thicker, I can tell. And while that is happening, I'm going to get a serving bowl and put some of the mashed potatoes there. Let's see, there's the bowl. I'm gonna do this so that you can kind of see the bowl there. And if you enjoy my piano music, you can visit my website, which is gustavotolosa.com. And there's some recordings there and videos. And I want to tell you that I do give piano lessons online. If you're interested as a beginner or as an intermediate or as an advanced, and that's available. I'm going to put some freshly ground pepper here, black pepper. And so I was telling you about the music. Please visit my website, and I add videos often, and would love for you to give me some comments. Look at that. Wow. Look at that. It's becoming a lot thicker. Now, it's not watery like it was before. At this point, you want to keep stirring it. You don't want it to get burned or overdone. I think it's starting to have just the right consistency. As I do that, right here, I'm going to put a nice serving of the mashed potatoes. Yum. Oh my goodness. What's better than mashed potatoes? I don't know. So look at this. There it is. Brown gravy without using any animal products and anything that is going to damage that endothelial lining of your arteries. So let's get a nice spoon, make a little hole in there, and scoop some of this delicious gravy. Now, goodness sake, how can this be so good for you and tastes so good at the same time. Amazing. All right, so yes, it is possible to follow a plant-based diet and to have the food taste very, very delicious. All right, I am ready to try the mashed potatoes with gravy. Oh, the mashed potatoes combined with the squash is just a perfect combination. And this gravy, I have to say, it has nothing that the regular gravy doesn't. Actually, it does. It doesn't have all of the bad ingredients that the regular one does. And it tastes absolutely amazing. I don't want to be rude and eat this whole bowl in front of you, but I can't stop. So, in just a few minutes, I'm going to play some music for you. I'm aware that I promised you that my friend Leo, who is a virtuoso violinist, was going to play today, but he had a family emergency and he could not be here. But he will be here next Saturday for sure. So come back next Saturday. You will not be sorry because what you're going to hear that Saturday is going to blow your mind. So come next Saturday. Today, I'm going to leave you with a calming, relaxing, meditative piece of music by a French composer, Eric Satie. In other previous videos, I played for you Gymnoped #1. I think I even did #2. And today I'm going to play for you #3. He composed 3 of those pieces that are very similar in sound and beautiful. And today I'm going to play that for you to leave you in a calm and peaceful mindset, because even though food is the most important factor in our health, we're not just food. We're beings that have, a psyche. We're beings that have a soul, if you believe in that, or in, whatever you want to call it. But we have a mind, and it is good to have that kind of mindset. So I'm going to leave you with that music. And before we do that, oh, you guys, you're gonna love this. I'm going to try the other one. Hold on while I get another bowl. Just a minute. Okay, I'm back. So I'm gonna get some of this Costa Rican potatoes and beans. And I have never made this one. Actually, I never made the gravy. I tasted it because I've been to the McDougall program, but I never made it myself. So a 10 plus. Now this one I've never made either, so this is my first time to make it. I've made something similar, but not this recipe. So let's see here. I'm gonna get some potatoes and beans and spinach to get the perfect bite. Wow. It just seems so simple when you're making it. And then it turns out like a 5-star meal at a restaurant. Wow. I have to say, I don't know which one. I can't stop. That the cilantro really adds it, and that to me, that amount that I put of the hot pepper is perfect because it is hot. But I can tell how some people that really enjoy hot, you want to put the whole jalapeno for sure. The tomato, the onion, the garlic. My goodness sake, this is such a wonderful combination. Well, next week I will choose another couple of recipes, and then maybe do one more week. Then we're going to start another book in our book club, and I will be announcing that when this video goes out as a replay. Enjoy, and I'm walking to the piano to perform for you the Gymnoped number 3 by Eric Satie.